Everyone, today we'll be doing English and our topic is narrative writing. So first we are going to ask the question, what is narrative writing? So I'm pretty sure we're all familiar. Narrative writing is the art of storytelling.
Listen, I'm in MM2.
It's the art of storytelling. And the purpose is to engage, entertain, and to challenge the reader. So to write a proper narrative story, we need to know the structure. We need to know the structure of a narrative paragraph or text. So it has 5 main narrative arcs, you can say. So the first one is exposition. So this is where we have 5 key points we need to cover. So a hook first. Hook is what brings in the reader. This can be in the form of a rhetorical question, or a descriptive sentence, So first we have our hook. Then we need to establish a time, a place, and we have to set the tone. The next one is climax. Sorry, I meant rising action. Rising action. So this is where we build up the plot. We build up the plot and conflict. This is where we introduce the conflict.
Imagine.
And we build up tension. So usually when I try to build up tension, I use long sentences because it keeps you more on edge without giving you what you want. So now our third one is climax. This is where we reach a turning point, and it's like the peak of tension. It's where the problem escalates. Like the problem is clear, and it's where most of the emotion of the story comes. So then we have our falling action. This is after the solution is, it's like after our solution, this is where our solution basically comes in. It comes in, it doesn't mean that it's the problem is solved, and it's like the aftermath of the climax. And finally we have our resolution. So this is where we establish the new world after the problem, or like, for example, the characters change, so we establish the change that happens because of the problem, and we can either provide closure or we can or we can leave them in a cliffhanger. So this is the structure, and that's good and kind of easy to remember. So there are some literary devices we have to use to make it to make our story better. So the first one is, this is very important even though it's sort of hard. Show, not tell. So don't be direct, basically. Don't tell that a room is big. So tell the room was huge or big or whatever. You can show it by saying for example, the sound, I guess. No. The sound traveled a staggering distance before bouncing off the wall. Before bouncing off the walls. So you can see the difference, that like the wall, the was huge. It was huge, or like the place was huge, okay? But the sound traveled a staggering distance before bouncing off the walls. So this shows us that the room is in fact big, but it doesn't tell us. So it's more immersive for the reader. Our next one is, this one is kind of obvious. Imagery. So this is where we use our 5 senses to describe what's going around us. So we can say like the scent of homely, fresh curry traveled with air. Oh. So this is just using our 5 senses. This is quite easy, but it's also very important. So then our simile, which is comparing two things using like or as. So for example, you can say she was as fearful as a lioness. Fearless as a lion. So we take the feature of the lion, which is like the most prominent feature, and we give it to the girl or the character. This one is kind of important, but it's also very hard to implement. It's juxtaposition. It's when we contrast two things to highlight their differences. So you can't just use this anywhere. Like, it's really hard to use in stories where you're trying to focus on like the main character or plot. So let me give an example. So you can say things like, let's say a child, okay, children, a child represents innocence, but we put them in a background like war. So these two contrast each other. So war, so like bad, rough. So these two contrast each other. The child is in war and the child is still happy, so they can contrast each other. Or we can do like emotional contrast, where a character is laughing at a joke, but the joke is at their expense. You can say like that. So then our final one is foreshadowing. So this is quite easy, but it's very strong when you implement it. It's just dropping hints. On what your, or clues on what's about to happen. So you can just drop hints and clues. So that is it for today. Thank you.